on this most beautiful day, the 24th day of Nisan, just after we celebrated a beautiful Pesach. The Torah portion for this week is Acharei, or Acharei Mos. It's a somewhat under-celebrated portion, swallowed in between the holidays. We missed reading it on Shabbos, maybe even twice. Sometimes we miss it twice because of the Passover holiday. It has beautiful lessons, and one of them is here and now. I just learned from the Rebbe. I'm going to throw in a moment of gratitude to the Rebbe for allowing me, giving me the opportunity to teach these beautiful teachings, to learn them and to share them in wild and wonderful ways, like while on a run. So, imagine the most decorated general or army officer or government official with all the badges and awards coming to a central celebration on the most important day of the year, one that's of ultimate value, but coming almost in his underwear, in plain white clothes, disregarding all of the badges and honors and privileges. That's something similar to what happened on Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year, to the Kohen Gadol, who is the most decorated Jew ever, anywhere. The Torah describes the Kohen Gadol's clothing, the high priest. The Kohen Gadol, the high priest, had to have 8 layers of variations of clothing, and some of them were very colorful, adorned with golden pomegranates and bells, the materials of the highest quality. The breastplate had jewels, all kinds of precious stones. The shoulder bands had sapphire. He was the most decorated man in the world. The Torah says that on Yom Kippur, on the holiest day of the year, when he enters the Holy of Holies, which only happens once a year, the Kodesh HaKodashim, he has to go with 4 layers of simple white linen, simple clothing. Rashi, which seems a little bit shocking. Rashi, the main biblical commentator, discusses this and says that he has to go in plain, like a Kohen, like a simple Kohen, not like the adorned Kohen Gadol. And Rashi gives one reason. He says, because ein kategor na'aseh sanegor. A prosecutor cannot become the defendant. And he explains that the Jewish people had sinned with the golden calf. So any resemblance or usage of gold can remind the negative powers to bring it to God and say, hey, look, they're using gold and they're asking for your atonement on this holy day of Yom Kippur, but they also used gold to create a golden calf. Strike him, God forbid. So therefore, Rashi says, we don't use gold when the high priest is going into the holy temple to ask God for forgiveness for the Jewish people, which was the core of his service on Yom Kippur. There was a lot of other services that he did. There were about 15 different steps, or 15 hours of work. He went to the mikvah at least 5 times, etc., etc. Changed his clothing many times. Bottom line is, he had to wear simple clothing. That's the story. And there's a lot more in this talk that the Rebbe spoke about in the different terms that the Torah uses, and Rashi and Rambam discussed it at length. The Rebbe, in his characteristic way, teaches us and shows us how Hasidus, the teachings of Hasidus, to demonstrate a relevance of every part of the Torah, no matter how seemingly insignificant, to our daily lives, to me and you. How so here? As the Rebbe said, that first of all, parenthetically, not parenthetically, but I'm going to go into parenthetic. The Rebbe says here and many other places that we represent the temple. That God said in the Torah, "V'asuli mikdash v'shachanti b'sochem." Make for me a dwelling place, a holy sanctuary, and I will dwell in them. In them means in the Jewish people, in every one of us. So there are many parallels, just parenthetically, to the mikdash, or the base of mikdash, the holy temple, and to ourselves. Our body is the temple. We need to respect it. We need to do exercise to keep it healthy and strong. Eat healthy and avoid undesirable things. Our mind sometimes can be paralleled to the altar, and we sacrificed animals and food, and over here we sacrifice our intentions and our decisions to God. The menorah resembles light, as we are a guiding light to the nations, to the world, to our families, and beyond. The shulchan, the table, can represent many things, but including also our hospitality, how we invite others to join us in our homes. The altar represents the sacrificing. The Kodesh HaKodashim, in some ways, the Holy of Holies, is somehow connected also to our heart. It's the core of our dedication, of our passion, and our giving ourselves over. Dedication, Mesiras Nefesh. So too, when the Kohen Gadol went inside the Holy of Holies, and he went to dedicate himself to God. And also, his main purpose in going there was to ask God for atonement and connection with the Jewish people. Lifnei Hashem titharu are the words of the Torah. Before God, you shall be purified. You shall be pured. Says the Rebbe, when a Jew today wants to go before God, wants to dedicate himself or herself to God, but not only oneself, but also another. If you want to help somebody else dedicate themselves to God, you have to do it like the Kohen Gadol did way back when. How was that? The Kohen Gadol the high priest had many achievements. He was a great person. He was an honorable person. Actually, his sacrifice here, entering the Holy of Holies, literally could cost him his life. If he had an extra thought that wasn't appropriate, he would automatically die. And that's why they would actually tie a rope to his leg as he entered, just in case they needed to pull him out. So he was a high person of noble character. And that's, Rebbe says that when we want to pray for connection for ourselves, and especially for others, we have to do what the Kohen Gadol did, the high priest did. That's two things. The what and the how. The what is we need to enter the Holy of Holies. Entering the Holy of Holies, says the Rebbe, means digging deep within ourselves, revealing, uncovering, discovering our true self. Who are we? That's the how, without all the external trappings. How do we do that? How do we reveal our true self? By undressing ourselves from the gold, the silver, the precious stones, the diamonds, representing all of our achievements, our sense of self, to leave back all considerations of ego, of fulfillment. Look, who am I and what am I and what I've done and accomplished, especially if it's in contrast with what you've done and accomplished. And there is a place, says the Rebbe, for a person to demonstrate their community service and their achievements when it's done from a sense of humility and selflessness. Otherwise, it doesn't go over well and it doesn't achieve its goal. When it's done out of selflessness, then it will inspire others to do the same. When it's done out of haughtiness and ego, it has an opposite effect. And here the Rebbe says is our lesson from the Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol, before he entered the Holy of Holies, he would have to disrobe from the golden jewelry, all the greatness, all his medals and achievements and banners, and he would have to wear 4 layers of pure white, simple clothing. He would become a simple person. And that simple person, when a person radiates simplicity and the opposite of ego, radiates humility, that is a way to reach our true self and others, enabling us, empowering us to be true servants of God and to achieve atonement as needed, connection and inspiration for ourselves and for others, and make this world a better place. That's what the Rebbe spoke about. Just going to throw in another point, if you're still listening, that we speak about on Achron Shel Pesach, on the final day of Pesach, where it talks about, in the Haftorah, talks about Mashiach, the Messiah, the Redeemer of the Jewish people. And it says, describes him, and it says that among other things, he will judge the people of the world, but he will not judge by his sense of sight or ears or hearing, but he will judge the people and slay the wicked by the sense of smell, by the sense of his nose. What's going on there? Well, in short, we have various entrances into our body, biological system. We have sight, smell, we have the 5 senses, and they parallel the 5 levels of our soul. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chai, Yechida. We've spoken about this many times. Simply speaking, Nefesh is the biological life force. Ruach, the spirit, represents the emotion. Neshama, soul, represents the intellect. Chaya, life, represents the willpower, ratzon. And Yechida, the highest level, represents the essence of the God, the essence of the soul, which is a part of God. Says the Rebbe, Chassidus teaches us that Mashiach will operate on the level of Yechida. The sense of smell, it relates to Yechida. When somebody faints, literally, biologically, the best way to wake them up, I've witnessed this myself multiple times, where somebody faints at 770 Eastern Parkway when it was very, very jam-packed and people were up all night singing and dancing for Simchas Torah mainly, and people would faint. It happened often. The people from Hatzalah, from the saving community, the paramedics among us, they would come with smelling salts, put it right under someone's nose. They would jump and scream and shout. They would wake up very quickly. A smell, olfactory sense, goes straight to the brain. And that represents the highest level of Yechida, of the highest level of our soul. But when it says that Mashiach will judge the people and slay the wicked by his sense of smell, it means that he's going to see them for who they truly are, in the best possible light, disregarding all of the negative and including all of the circumstances that brought them to this situation. If it's a negative one, whether it's their environment, their family, their education, their natural tendencies, he's going to see the core of the person, and the wickedness will melt away. He will slay the wicked means he will slay the wickedness. He will disregard and make disappear, dissolve the wickedness of each person. And that is what it means that Mashiach will judge people favorably. And that is also a lesson for us all, that we can assume, emulate Mashiach, the Mashiach perspective, and judge people favorably. Whatever you hear about another, if it's a negative, put on your Mashiach spectacles, your Mashiach framework, your Mashiach glasses and perspective. Melt away the wickedness and judge them like Mashiach would, from a Yechida perspective, the way God Almighty does. God bless you. Thanks for watching, listening. Share.